What's up, friends? This is No Creamer. I'm Nick.
I'm Cowboy.
I'm J-Hugs.
Welcome to the show. We are doing an interview episode with Jake Baxter from No Sleep Roastery over in Idaho. He is the founder and roaster for No Sleep, a new dad, and an avid disc golfer. Jake, dude, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on it.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
Heck yeah, dude. Oh, round of applause.
Welcome.
We should have done video. So I just want to kind of open it up. Big, broad question for you up here at the front, man. How did you get into roasting? Just kind of riff on that for as much as you want.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we'll start with early high school career choices.
Oh man!
Oh wow!
Way back.
I worked at Starbucks.
I'm sorry.
About halfway through high school, and it was at the same time the best and worst job I've ever had. But I learned a lot from it. My first manager was actually really good at basically teaching us how to cup coffee, essentially.
Oh, nice.
Which, being 15, 16 years old and being taught how to cup coffee at your local Starbucks, I feel like they don't do that type of training anymore. Or I don't know if that manager just went above and beyond.
Wow.
So that's kind of where the love for coffee started. And then I worked there for probably about 4 years. Ended up joining the military. And I'm still currently active duty Air Force, set to get out. And March 1st actually is when I'm breaking clean, and then I'm gonna get some other stuff going. But when I was about to deploy, I was just spending a lot of money on specialty coffee, and I kept telling my friends, I was like, well, I'm gonna have a little extra cash after coming back from deployment. Like, what if I just buy a roaster, and that way I can roast, what I want to drink? And I figured I'd be saving money in the long run. Yeah, which was not the case. If you ever decide to buy a roaster, you're not gonna save money in the long run. Yeah. It's just gonna turn into a money pit.
Yep.
So I had a couple friends that I was deployed with that they were like, "Oh, dude, that'd be awesome. Like, I'd buy coffee from you." And then I had family that was supportive as well. So I started it and was just like, well, I'll just sell to family and friends and roast for myself. And then I basically just got a bunch of business ideas, because I feel like I've always kind of had an entrepreneurial mindset. And so I was... The name No Sleep actually comes from the fact that I wasn't sleeping well on deployment, because I would wake up with ideas about business and about how to run things and what I want to try roasting. And I was doing a lot of reading out there, like roasters best practices, like the Scott Rayo book, a lot of online articles, because I actually had internet access. So a lot of research while I was deployed. So that was a really good time for me. And then I hit the ground running when I came back. I bought a little hot top 2K, and that's actually what I've run my business off of, literally to this point.
Wow.
Which is a pain, but it's so when I say no sleep, I'm literally not sleeping to get some of these orders out.
Well, now you have a kid, which means even less sleep.
Yeah,
even less sleep. So my wife says I jinxed myself with the name there, and I kind of should have named the company something else, maybe something like Sleeps Comfortably, and then maybe my situation would be different. But no, I love it. So yeah, it was just an early work experience at Starbucks, and then just basically wanting to have a little bit more control over coffee is probably what got me into roasting. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control real fast, and been going for a year and a couple of months now. And I actually just upgraded my roaster. The upgrade got here last week. I moved to the bullet roaster. I know you guys were talking to Westy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He was actually one of the minds behind me getting the bullet roaster. Him and Logan over at Volt Coffee.
Nice.
Had some good conversations with them. So hopefully that'll take some workload off. But that's kind of the general backstory.
Very cool. I want to throw just one more piece of information out before Ben jumps on. We are drinking the Artist Series collaboration with Taylor Penton, doing the Natural Ethiopia, dude. It's a very smooth, light mouthfeel coffee. I'm enjoying it a ton.
Yeah, it's definitely the lightest coffee I've done so far. So I was kind of scared about it because I haven't released anything this light. But I love lighter bodied coffees, and it's almost got a little citrus aftertaste to it that I like.
Yeah, it's good.
Super smooth. It's as if a petal of a flower is just laying on your tongue.
Yeah,
and then a nice summer breeze.
I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic, dude. You sound like the snowball has been rolling since day one for you.
It's definitely been a snowball. Things kind of took off really quickly.
Yeah, I get it. It's kind of like, what's weird too, I don't know if it's like this for you, man, but I feel like this year for all of us this has been the busiest year that I've ever seen, in several different businesses with so I work, in film and TV, and it's been the busiest year I've seen for our industry in a while. And, same with I feel like it's really busy in coffee right now. It's busy with music. Yeah. It's busy. So I'm sure on your end of things of on the roasting side of that, I'm sure you guys are just, your whole thing is no sleep, it's the very, grind till the end of it. Right. And so, man, I can't imagine like you're saying, it must be true. But dude, I do have a question for you.
Go for it.
Kind of one of those cliches, but it's a good one to throw out there.
It's a good one to throw out there.
The rest of the show, I'm just going to talk like I'm from Louisiana.
Okay.
It's not how Louisiana talks.
No, not at all.
Anyways, we can get into accents later. But man,
I'm cool with that.
You started 16 years old, you started working at Starbucks. If you could give that 16-year-old a piece of advice, about coffee or life, whatever, what would you say to that guy before he started going on to this whole, fiascapade of roasting and this whole new life, and this whole snowballing of what it is now? What would you say to that guy?
Man, that's a good question. Well, I think first things first, I probably would have told that guy not to join the military. I'm happy with the time that I've been in for 4.5 years. It'll be about 4.5 by the time I get out. I'm getting out on good terms, but it just wasn't quite for me. But as far as the coffee goes, I probably would. I felt like I should have taken a little bit more time developing a palate. I think before I started really deep diving into roasting. Yeah. Because I think you can sit there and you can drink specialty coffee all day, and you can develop a pretty good idea of a palate through that. But I think for what really helped me was sitting down and sitting multiple coffees. Honestly, the same coffee, if I could get my hands on it, roasted different ways from different roasters. Same origins. I'd take a natural Ethiopia from Onyx, and then a natural Ethiopia from Stumptown or something. I don't even know if Stumptown does natty Ethiopias actually. No, but I feel like that side by side comparison really, as of lately, has helped my palate. So I probably would have told myself to take a little bit more time to evaluate coffee. Kind of probably what my manager was trying to instill into me, and I just didn't want to listen because I just wanted a paycheck, and I had no idea however many years later I'd be sitting here owning a roastery. I would have never thought coffee would have become something I was so passionate about. At the time, it was a 9 to 5 for me. So honestly, I feel like paying closer attention, and it's Starbucks, so I felt like I could only develop my palate so much. Because it's
you were limited in your growth, with working there.
It's not like I'm working at a specialty shop in downtown Boise and I can really see quality coffee.
And how old are you
it's
now?
More 25.
So you started at Starbucks when you were how old? Sorry,
16 or 17. I want to say 16. Yeah. I worked at Chick-fil-A for a year and a half, and then I switched over to Starbucks. So I was tired of smelling like chicken.
Decided to smell like coffee.
Smell like coffee.
And steamed milk.
It's a better and steamed milk.
Yeah.
Or burnt milk.
Burnt milk.
Yeah.
I always feel like I came home smelling like milk on my apron because I worked at Starbucks too.
Yeah.
So did you? Right?
No, I never have.
Okay.
Just local shops.
Okay. I just remember coming home with milk all over my polo or whatever I was wearing.
Yeah.
Polo. Yeah, that stuff gets everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Or unless the cold brew got spilt over. You're just walking home in your cold brew shoes.
Cold brew shoes.
Yeah.
Or mocha shoes, cold brew shoes.
Dig into the floor.
Yes.
When the winter time came, it was always the worst because you knew that everyone and their mother was going to be like, "Oh, it's mocha time," and
I want a peppermint mocha.
I hated making mochas. It was the worst.
That was a good peppermint mocha order.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they sound like.
It
Yeah.
is.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead. You used to what?
I was gonna say you mentioned the hate making the mochas. I used to, and I think this is so ironic nowadays. I used to hate when people would come in and ask for like a pour over of our drip coffee when I worked at Starbucks, and like for the life of me, I hated it as a teenager. I was like, why are you ordering a pour over? I can just pull something literally that was made 40 minutes ago and put it in a cup and get you out of here. And now it's like every morning I have a V60 or an origami. And when I do pop-up events locally, I do like a double V60 setup. And it's like, that's my life now. But young me absolutely hated it. So it's just kind of ironic how it comes full circle like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What in the artwork with the two hands and the arrow? What is that about?
Yeah, so that one's kind of got a longer backstory to it. Me and Taylor actually go like way back. We met in like early middle school. We both lived in Omaha, more specifically Bellevue, Nebraska, at the time. So we've known each other for years, and he does branding work for companies and individuals and stuff. And I was fortunate enough to know him way before he did branding or even thought about doing branding.
Awesome.
So I've gotten to see him grow as an individual, and he's absolutely killing it. So when I started getting into roasting and thought that, hey, this could be like an actual business avenue, immediately I was like, well, I'm going to hit up my friend Taylor because I want to support my friend, and I think it'd be cool to work together.
Yeah.
And he was the first artist for the Artist Roast series, but he's also done all of my branding up to this point. It was just easy to highlight him as the first artist because we've already worked together. A way to kick off that series, and I've got a couple other people lined up for early next year. But the hands with the blood is basically just saying that like our friendship and our like businesses are like kind of like sealed in blood almost. Like that awesome bond, like an unbreakable bond.
Yeah.
Wow. The arrow through the hand, because we've been friends since we were like 12 or 13.
Wow.
He's like the person I've probably kept in contact with like the longest. So it's been cool to see kind of each of us go our individual ways down career paths we basically never saw ourselves doing, and it seems to kind of be working out. So
that's awesome.
Cool.
That's super cool. I kind of want to jump on the coffee culture question for you.
Yeah.
If you've done any travel experiences in other states or countries or anything like that, is there anything unique to the coffee culture in Idaho that you've noticed? Anything in particular at shops or just personal experience?
Yes, absolutely. This one actually frustrated me a ton. So I'm originally from Bellevue, Nebraska. I was born over on an Air Force base over there. My parents are both Air Force. And so my family still lives in Nebraska. We went back there I think it was this last summer to go visit. And so I was like, sweet, well, I'm going to check out some of the local coffee shops. One of those coffee shops being Archetype Coffee. Those guys are actually pretty well known, I feel like. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. But Archetype usually puts up some like award-winning coffees every year, and they're based out of Omaha, like 10 minutes from where my parents live. So I was like, sweet, I'll go there.
Cool.
And I went in and I was like, hey, can I just get like a flash brew of this Guatemala they had? And they're like, we don't do that. And I was like, what? Like, you don't do I can't get like an ice pour over? And they're like, no, we don't do ice pour overs. And I was like, it like blew my mind. Cause if you walk like anywhere in Boise, all the shops we have down here, like that's 90% of what people order.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of V60s. And in Omaha, it was like, I think it's just because it's such a bigger and busier city. Everybody just wants, like quick espresso drinks.
Yeah.
So that's what they're equipped for. And I was showing up with my laptop, going to work on my website some. And I'm like, can I just get a flash brew? Like, I'm trying to chill. And they were like, yeah, no, we don't do that. And it like blew my mind. Cause I'm like, this place, like, don't get me wrong. I love Archetype Coffee. They have amazing coffee.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to dock them in any way, but it's just crazy to me, like those differences in what, like the pacing of the coffee community feels like in different cities.
For sure.
It's like the closer you are to the city, the faster pace it is.
Yeah.
But then once you get further outside of the city, you're like, this is a good pace, this is a medium. And then you go past that and they're like, what? What's a V60?
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just want drip.
You get
I want black coffee.
Just give me that cup of
that-
Folgers.
There you go.
that gas station drip.
Yes.
That's 7-Eleven.
The guy that began and is running Sun's Coffee here in Fort Worth, Eder, he's not from the U.S. I think he's from Brazil. He and I had a conversation just about like cultural differences and what people expect in coffee and their experience in coffee shops, and how the idea of a coffee shop in other regions of the world is that it's like a time to sit down. Like the idea of a drive-through is just like this absolutely left field type thing.
Yeah.
So experiencing that is a little bit more, I guess, like what you're saying, like city to moving out to the suburbs type thing. But culturally, there's a huge shift here.
It's like you want to have someone over, but you don't want to do it at your house, and they don't want to go to their house.
Me too.
So the coffee shop is like the perfect medium of like,
great.
it's homey. You get a good drink, some pastries. It's like you're at home, but you don't have to worry about cleaning up. That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't like them, just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've never had them over to your house before, they don't know where you live.
They don't know where you live.
Exactly.
This isn't you.
Yeah. In light of the new SpiderMan movie coming out, which by the way, PSA announcement, I have not seen yet. These two goobs have. Okay.
Saw it at 3:00 today.
They did.
I just came from it.
And I was very
I'm jealous.
You and me both. We're both jealous here. So it's an
50-50.
even, it's 50-50, even match team. But so I got a couple questions about the old Peter Parker. So even though we haven't seen the new one, what are your like general thoughts on Spidey? And plus, like out of the three that we have currently, out of live action, which of these are your favorite? Toby, Andrew, Tom.
Man, the nostalgic part of me wants to say Toby because I just feel like as a kid that was like Spider-Man for me.
Yeah.
Like that's, and then Andrew Garfield kind of fits in this weird phase of my life where I'm like, man, are we trying out this new Spider-Man? I don't know. He seems like not quite there. I think I'm actually going to say Tom Holland. I don't know what it is about him as an actor, but he just like fits that role like so perfectly. Like I think the slight goofiness that he portrays as Spider-Man, I think is really like spot on. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't do the comics or anything. So somebody out there might be like, no, he's not goofy and he's not this way, and Tom Holland is not not the right fit. But I think he's good for the role. But Toby's a close second.
Yeah. I think he's good for the role, blending the geeky aspects and the sarcastic
that's a better word
humor
for it.
of Tom Holland or of Spider-Man.
I will say my favorite thing out of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, like this new version that we have, was the whole Lego Death Star.
Oh yeah,
him and his friend, like the banter and stuff that they have between each other. That's my favorite. Their friendship together. I think that's what Spider-Man.
Great.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Solid.
Long live Toby.
There you go,
Toby.
It's just like a nostalgic thing.
Oh
with
yeah,
Toby.
It is.
Can't,
totally is.
Yeah.
It hits different.
I rewatched all of them. Spider-Man 2 is still one of my favorite Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, we have some questions from some of the other Patreon subscribers. Which, by the way, shout out to our patrons.
What up, patrons?
Hello, patrons.
Chris Gravis, Josh Rainey, Jason Reed, Jackson Anderson, and Mia Mathis. So we've got some questions from them. I'm going to throw your way
First lady.
rapid fire real quick for you.
Cool.
All right. So
lightning round.
Lightning round.
Sorry.
You got a minute to win it. Good luck.
Favorite origin to roast?
Guatemala.
Okay.
Cool.
What is the secret to roasting naturals?
Oh, this is a hard one. This is my
That
first
might not be as
natural
lightning.
that I've really roasted.
Okay.
I feel like you have to be a little bit gentler with it. Like you can't be aggressive with your heat. It's more of like a slow control for me, at least on this natural that I just roasted for you guys.
You get that flower petal that Ben was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Dream home espresso setup? You might have one already.
I would love however you pronounce it, the minis, the Liana mini.
Yeah, dude.
Liana, whatever. I currently have a... I can never pronounce that. I just call it the mini. I have a Breville Barista Pro that I picked up a couple months ago, and I've been really happy with that. So I'm content for now.
I hear good things about that one.
I've honestly been looking at that thing because it's not too bad on the price.
No.
Yeah, I finally bit the bullet and bought it when my son was born because I was like, dude, I'm gonna need some espresso. It's been a good call.
Yeah. 2 more. How many pounds do you roast a month?
Probably 50 to 60.
Nice. Last one. What's your process for picking new coffees for your lineup?
I literally just bought a new coffee like before I got on the phone with you guys.
Oh, nice.
Well, hey, we'll call it a podcast special, and it's actually a Honduran coffee.
Nice.
Sweet.
Never roasted Honduran, so if you're listening to the podcast, don't let that leak.
Nice. Dude.
The process, I kind of just look for like almost coffees that are maybe like more well balanced.
I like that.
I kind of went out on a limb with that natural Ethiopian, and it's not as fruity as like your typical Ethiopian, which I kind of like, and that's probably because I messed up somewhere in the roast, so it's not as fruity. But I like how it turned out, and ultimately that's like the biggest tip I could give anybody with roasting is like you can look at the curves all day, and you can sit there, and people can be judgmental, and you can evaluate and judge yourself, but. Ultimately, it's how does the cup taste? If it tastes good, who cares what the curves look like? Yeah. And I'm probably gonna catch a lot of slack for that. I
think that applies to a lot of different art forms. Like you can know the technicalities in a lot of different art mediums and whatnot. Yeah. But if what you're producing is only technically correct, you might be missing a lot of other elements to it.
Yeah. It's like it's like in music. Like you take some kid who he's got this great song. He doesn't know all the notes to make this song as best as it could be, but what he's got is pretty sweet and enjoyable. It's raw.
The
it's
foundation
emotional.
is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Build on that.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I'm good with those analogies.
You are good with analogies.
How I process.
If you could, this one's from me. If you could create the perfect coffee pairing for a round of disc golf, what would it be?
Coffee pairing. So like just a coffee to have out on the course?
Yeah, I guess I made that sound a little fancier.
Yeah, that's okay.
I was like, man, are we like pairing it with pastries? Or like are we stopping at hole 9 for a snack halfway through?
Are you picking a different coffee for your driver and your putter? What do you...
Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios.
Yeah.
He takes a sip of espresso before every putt.
Yeah, dude, I'd be wired. I don't know. Like I said, I like really well balanced coffees. Yeah. Particularly been liking a lot of Guatemalans lately. I'd probably go with like a Guatemala that's kind of got some like stone fruit notes to it, and it's just really well bodied. I feel like that'd be good to sustain me for 18 holes.
Yeah. I think the Baruni that we tried earlier this year had some stone fruit. Maybe.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was pretty good.
I like stone fruit notes. They're good.
Same.
Yeah, I do too.
So you're out on the course. Are you going to, one, make, your V60 at home and then put it in whatever and take it with you on the go? Or are you going to bring an Aeropress with you? And how frustrated are you going to get as you're doing your Aeropress out on the course?
I'm probably going to do the V60 at home and throw it in I have a Carter mug, one of the fellow Carter mugs.
That thing, dude.
That thing has taken a beating because I take it to work all the time, and I work a maintenance job on radars for the Air Force.
Oh, man.
So
Wow.
this thing is like outside in the cold, falling off, hitting concrete like all day long.
Dang.
And but I love that thing. I literally was using it earlier today, so I'd probably make it before I went. But I would. I've taken my Aeropress camping. Idaho's great for camping and outdoor stuff like that.
Nice. Noted.
So I took it. My wife and I took it camping, and it was kind of a pain the morning of. And I'm like, man, this people make it look so easy on Instagram,
dude.
And I guess I'm just so much lazier than everybody else. It's like I'll just make my coffee, throw it in a mug that keeps it warm, and I'll survive.
Well, speaking of the Aeropress, we're actually doing that giveaway with No Sleep. It's a bag of the Peru, a bag of this artist series, and then an Aeropress Go.
We're looking at it right now.
I love that Peru too.
Yeah?
That is like one of my all-time favorites.
Nice, dude. Do you have an Aeropress recipe that you want to recommend to the people?
I do. It's like really, really straightforward though.
Okay. I think that's good. Easy to remember.
Yeah. It's basically just like a 16-to-1. It's like a 15 grams coffee. I think that's like what 250 grams water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's 16-to-1. So it's really, and I do the inverted method.
One of those people.
And yeah, inverted.
Inverted life.
Inverted just made more sense to me at the time when I got my Aeropress.
I agree with you.
So it's a little bit messier. You got to be quick when you flip it. That's my.
I've made more messes with an inverted Aeropress brew than any other thing I've done in coffee.
Yeah,
and you have a kid.
Exactly.
And you both do.
Yeah,
it's all those diaper changes.
Yeah.
Oh, totally, for sure. All right. So one of my favorite things that we don't really get to do that often when it's the three of us, because then it would get a little, I don't know,
Stale.
Stale. What?
Boring.
Like, yeah, it might not feel as fresh.
Waste of time.
The Name That Drink segment. It's so much fun.
It is.
So, Jake, if you could pick a character from any medium that you enjoy, what would that character be? And if you can't pick one, I have a pointed one that I'm going to ask you.
I'm going to kind of nerd out here for a minute, because if some people follow me, they know I'm like really big into anime. I don't know if you guys do anime.
You got to say 02?
No. Okay. I see you see the Discord.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, this is kind of a dead giveaway. No, it's let's just say Naruto. Let's keep it simple.
Okay.
So that was
I've
kind
heard
of
that
general.
one.
There you go.
People tend to know that one even if
That's
they
right.
don't watch anime.
Okay, so if Naruto is grabbing I don't know the name of the city or world that is like frequent in Naruto. Is there one?
Hey, it's just he's from the Hidden Leaf Village.
Okay, so if
What a name.
he's vibing in the Hidden Leaf Village, stopping at the local cafe, what is he going to order?
I feel like Naruto's are really, really simple. I feel like he literally rolls up and either just gets like a doppio or black coffee.
Nice.
Because this dude is really plain Jane, really honest character.
Yeah.
He's not really a show off, so I don't feel like you have any peppermint, mocha, soy, no foam, no whip type of nonsense.
I like him.
I just had massive
I feel like
flashbacks from Starbucks.
I know, dude. Me too. Every time I talk like that, I have like an aneurysm. But yeah, I feel like it's a really, really plain drink.
Very cool.
Really
I would agree.
honest drink.
Yeah.
I don't watch anime.
I don't either.
I know enough about. I watched my first anime a few months ago.
Yeah.
Weathering with You, I think is the name of it. I cried.
Oh, is that one of like the movies?
Yeah, I cried. It was nice.
They've got some of those movies are sad, man.
Yeah, it got me. It got me good.
If you were going to recommend to someone that's never watched any anime before a show to kind of kick it off, what would you recommend?
It depends on how much time that person has to commit. That's the problem with anime.
Very fair.
If they had all the time in the world.
Yeah, I guess that's a good. Yeah.
I mean, I'd always go with so Naruto was the first one for me, but I think nowadays I would probably say Jujutsu Kaisen. If you haven't seen Jujutsu Kaisen, it's on
I've seen a couple.
Hulu, I think it's on HBO Max too.
I've heard of that one.
It's like
right
24 episodes. Yeah, it's right now. It just came out earlier this year, so it's brand new.
Sweet.
And I know a lot of people that don't watch anime that actually started watching that one.
Very cool.
And I liked it. It's really, really solid. It's not too long either.
Nice.
I'm not an anime watcher, but I've definitely I've watched. There's shows that have like anime kind of style or like hints at it, and those I enjoy, and it makes me think that what I could probably get into it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I did, I would be like, this is awesome. I see why people like this.
Yeah.
But it's that whole
If you guys ever need recommendations,
I'll hit you up
I
for
got
sure.
you covered.
Have you watched Divisions, the Star Wars one?
Oh my gosh, so good.
I haven't watched that one, but it looks good.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they bring in like 7 different studios, right? Or something.
Yeah.
His lightsaber is red.
Oh, it's so
It's a lot of fun.
It was a bit more like of an old smoky woman rather than what her voice was.
Yeah.
Her voice was a little higher.
Yeah.
Not as groggy like that. But you get the point.
Groggy.
There you
What a
go.
word.
Is that a word?
I
kind of
it is
made it
now.
up. So yeah. If you can't explain what
Mocha shoes and
what that is,
groggy.
Yeah.
it's just groggy. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
Like take garage and itchy and put them together.
Gritchy.
Grit.
That's close to
No, that's when you have hay in your britches.
Oh, okay. Well, not
Anyway,
so. Not only is this like our episode with you to chat about coffee, but this is our episode that's coming out the week of Christmas. So,
Cool.
Do you have any holiday traditions that might involve coffee? Might not. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always drinking coffee, so every day is a coffee day.
Yeah.
I don't think I have like any specific traditions.
Yeah.
I know when I was still living with my parents, we would watch like Elf, the Will Ferrell Elf,
classic.
like every year, pretty much since it came out. Yeah, I love that movie. Such a good movie.
It's good.
He's an angry elf.
Yeah, call me an angry elf one more time.
what about you guys? A favorite holiday tradition, something you do with the fam or on your own during the holidays?
Putting the tree up is always not. I guess it's not like a tradition because you're going to probably do that at some point.
Yeah.
But there's just
Yeah.
something about like that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely enjoy that. We've been driving around looking at Christmas lights because my daughter, whenever she sees like a Santa like blow up thing in someone's front yard, she goes, "Hi ho ho,"
Hi ho ho.
and it's just like the greatest thing.
Yeah, looking at lights is fun. I started like 2 years ago watching every Christmas episode of The Office.
Oh, nice.
That's been kind of the thing.
Yeah.
So it's a
Love The Office.
same.
Is your little girl old enough to where you can lift her up and have her put the star on top? Is that something you guys do?
I imagine that we could, but she, I don't know if she would put the star on. Like she could definitely put it up there, but I feel like it would come down.
Yeah,
Like I don't think it would stay.
yeah.
She's not
Dexterity.
technically,
Yeah.
Would it be structurally sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dexterity is not
It
quite
would fall.
Right. Yeah.
What about you?
My favorite tradition. My dad makes his secret. It's got a secret recipe. His secret. He makes his special hot chocolate. I've talked about this before.
He's talked about this for years. I've known Ben for 10 years at this
I
point,
am determined,
and he still doesn't
to
know.
figure out what the secret ingredient is. It's like the whole.
Nestle Toulouse.
Well, it's like the Krabby Patty secret formula. I'm just like Plankton trying to figure it out, trying to like get like scheming all these different schemes with my computer.
Right.
Computer, help! But I can't figure it out. I've tried so many things on my own, so many experimentations.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Jake, have you dabbled in any other like genres of drinks after getting into roasting?
I have really wanted to dabble into some teas, but I haven't had the chance.
Dude, that's one thing that I like personally want to do because not only I feel like from like a business perspective is it pretty lucrative just on like the return on investment, but I just find teas just as fascinating as coffee.
Oh yeah. Same.
Yeah, Sam. I really I never drank tea like ever. And over the past probably 2 or 3 years, I've kind of started drinking it a little bit more here and there. And my dad always had like different specialty teas he would buy, and I always thought he was like a nutcase for it. And I'd be like, man, why are you spending so much money on all this tea? I was like, just get some Lipton and call it good. So now I'm starting to understand what he was about, but it's something I've definitely been trying to dabble in a lot more lately.
Same.
Plus, then I might stop spending so much money on just Arizona's green teas if I actually start drinking good tea.
Dude, the nuances in tea is so much fun for sure.
It's weird how like tea gets better the older we get.
It's true.
It's like
Yeah.
fine wine, but with us.
Well, there's
Like
even,
where the fine wine.
I mean, this isn't the type of tea that we're talking about, but there's a place here in Texas. I don't know if they're in other states, but it's called HTO. It is a drive-through for like sweet tea, flavored tea, watermelon, coconut, all type. Yeah,
It's like the Subway of tea.
pretty much. It's the most southern you can probably get.
Yeah. Jake, you touched on this just a little bit earlier in one of the other questions, but if someone was completely brand new to roasting and they were wanting to get into it, what's your biggest piece of advice that you would give them?
Research, man. Definitely. It saved me a lot in the beginning. I was kind of forced into researching because I was deployed for like 7.5 months. And so I had a lot of extra time because my job is just radar maintenance. So whenever the radars are being used for like missions and whatnot, we basically can't touch it. So we're basically like on call. And when you're on call and you're at the desert, there's really nothing to do except go to the gym or just hang out and watch movies with the rest of the guys you're on call with. Yeah. So I, at the time, was working on some online college stuff, and then also just decided to start researching some roasting in my free time.
Nice.
And I definitely read a lot of articles, read some books, watched a lot of what's his face, Hoffman,
James.
Yeah,
I'm gonna remember it for
that
you.
guy.
I forgot that guy's name when I was talking to Westy.
James Hoffman. That dude's the GOAT.
Yeah.
He got so much good content. But yeah, definitely research. And everybody says like, so I'm part of a bunch of like really cheesy roasting groups on Facebook, like a bunch of home roaster groups. Because when I was gone and before I started, I was like, I'll join all these groups just to see what people are saying. And if I could say anything, it's stay away from those home roaster Facebook groups because these are the most toxic people in the coffee community.
Wow,
that's so sad.
A bunch of crackheads in their
like,
RVs.
Yeah, they like flame everybody for how their roasts turn out, and they tell everybody like, "Oh, you should have started in a pan on your stove before you took the dive," and all that. And I completely disagree with that. I think if you're looking for a solid machine to start with, and you like really want to get into roasting, and hey, I drink a lot of coffee, and maybe for like Christmas and gifts and stuff, I can be giving away coffee or sell a little bit here and there. I absolutely love the hot top. That thing is not made to be a business roaster, but it works. And there's actually a video out there. I know you guys know Black City Coffee.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, I do not.
Yeah, she's got a YouTube channel and she's pretty active on it. She put out a video the other day saying, can you run a business on a hot top? Was like the title of the video. So I was like, oh, now we're talking. Like, I've been running the business for a year on a hot top. Like, what's she got to say?
Yeah.
And she's basically like, yes, but it's going to take up way too much of your time. And I completely agree. But as far as getting started, it's a little bit of an investment, but it's not like the price of a 1 kilogram, like the Bullet or a Mill City 1 kilogram.
Yeah.
So you can do like 200 out 270 to 80 grams, depending on what you're roasting.
Okay.
So it's essentially you have to run like 2 cycles if you want a 12-ounce bag. So you do the math on that. It's like 45 minutes to an hour for each bag. Oh, wow. And I'm doing about 50 pounds a month. So wow. It's wild, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But hot top is amazing. It holds its own. I literally run it back to back to back to back, which you definitely should not. If you get one, don't run it back to back to back, but I guarantee you it will survive if you do.
Wow.
Plus, you can hook it up. It's got the USB, the Artisan, so you can pay attention to the curves.
Oh, cool.
You can save your profiles and reference them. So it's good to actually see the changes. I'm kind of a pen and paper dude.
Yeah.
I pay attention to the curves a little bit, but I have all my profiles literally in a notebook with time changes, temperature changes, fan changes, just written on a notebook, and a bunch of trial and error pages too. It's just how I learn better.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I get from just, talking with you, having conversation that you're very much like a hustler guy. Like, you don't like to be sitting still, right? You're one of those guys. Yeah. I feel the same way. Something for me, man, is I actually I struggle a ton with when I'm not busy, when I'm not working, and I have like free time. And that's a time where it's like I should take advantage of it, of like resting, but also, picking up other things, like other hobbies, other things I should get done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a big struggle with like, oh, I'm so tired from the work week. I just, and just kind of getting lazy. What would be like your advice for someone who's like struggling in that area of like, no, like keep going to like, press into those hobbies, don't quit on the small business, on the side stuff. What would you say to those people?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so that's really good because it's definitely how my personality is. You hit the nail on the head. Definitely, I try to stay as busy as possible, and I'm constantly trying to work on business stuff or other stuff outside of that. And when I'm doing nothing, I have a hard time relaxing. And then also on the flip side of that, I will get home from work, like you said, and I'm just like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
It's a little early on. There was definitely times where I'm like, I have like 1 or 2 bags that I probably could roast tonight, but it's like, man, I don't want to go out to the garage. It's cold. It's Idaho. Like there's no way I'm going out there and roasting.
There's
I already
potatoes
got off for like
everywhere.
an hour.
There's potatoes.
Potatoes. It rains potatoes here.
Yeah, we get hail.
like-
You get potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys in Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, sorry, that was like really random.
Sorry. I had to put a potato thing in here somewhere.
For some reason, hail. I was like, oh, Texas. When it hails anywhere. I don't know why Texas is like what stuck out of my head.
Totally.
Wait, you guys don't get hail?
I would say one thing that helps me is kind of looking at like progression. So I'm big into fitness as well. That's one of my side hobbies that keeps me sane. Is definitely going to the gym. And it's really comparable. You can take comparisons and pretty much apply them to like anything throughout life. Like they tell you when you start going to the gym, they're like, man, take a picture of yourself like once or twice a month. And it's like, you may not realize it, but the amount of like the difference you're making, it's going to be noticeable 6 months from now. Like you might not notice it day to day and you might be doing this, but then 6 months from now, you'd be like, wow, like I did all that. And it's because I did that every day. Yeah. And so that's one thing. That's just we were talking about analogies earlier. That's kind of just an analogy. But since starting No Sleep, there was definitely times in the beginning where it's like, man, I felt like I started off like really hot. I'm like selling to more than just family and friends. And then it just like drops off. And that's one thing. I was listening to the episode with Westy that you guys did. And like he said, it's so inconsistent as far as specialty coffee goes. Like it's so hard to try to like project your sales in specialty coffee, because either you have the loyalty customers coming through consistently, that you're like, hey, that's my monthly customer, but you really don't know month to month what you're going to do. So I hit quite a slump there like earlier this year. And I was like, man, this is crazy. And I like wasn't being consistent on like Instagram posts. And I just felt like I wasn't getting any engagement. And I felt like I was like running out of ideas. And I just like sat there and I scrolled back and I looked through some photos on my phone of like early like concepts, that I had for roasts and that we had for like branding and all that. And I'm like, man, in hindsight, this was all just going to be just so I could roast my own coffee. Like it was never going to be a business, and look how far it's already come. Like, yeah, I'm in a slump, but I'm going to get out of this slump eventually. I just have to, stick with it, and I'm going to have good months. I'm going to have bad months. And then you can also try to find ways, if it's something like a small business, you can find ways to help streamline things. Like I launched the subscription service earlier this year.
Yeah.
And that was literally because I had the same amount of people coming back consistently buying coffee. And I'm like, hey, let's do a subscription. That way you don't have to come back and buy every month or every 2 weeks when you have been. It's automatic. And then I can also project like literally months out what income is going to look like based on cost of goods and all that. So it helps me hold inventory a little bit better. It helps me plan for, you know, what I can commit to when it comes to like pop-up events, when it comes to inventory. So it's like, I would say looking at progression of where you started versus where you are now. And it sounds so cliche when you say it like that, but it's progression's a real thing.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And I think it's just it's cliche and it's really simple, but I think a lot of people forget about that. Like 16-year-old me working at Starbucks, not wanting to make a pour over is now wanting to turn making pour overs into a living. Like it's the progression is there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just measuring progression and looking back at milestones and stuff is one way to motivate yourself to kind of like push through whatever slump you have.
Yeah. Well, Jake, I don't know if we could go any better on the episode than that answer. I felt like that was a really solid.
That was a kind of a long-winded one.
No, it was good.
That one kind of hit, and I was like, well, this is like literally the reason I launched subscriptions, because I was having a hard time projecting things and was in a slump. So I was like, all right, how can I streamline things for this, just to see like measurable progression?
Yeah,
that was a good question. I like that question.
I'm definitely going to come back, watch our episode after it's done, take some notes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Apply this to my life.
This can be the beginning of that progression. You know,
there we go.
6 months from now, you look back and you're like, hey, I remember that.
Hey.
Yeah. 2 years from now, I'm going to be.
That's that guy who doesn't sleep.
Yeah. That's that guy that doesn't.
No sleep.
Well, Jake, where can people order coffee from you? Find you on social media, all the good stuff. Buy your new sweatshirts.
Yeah. So, I love the sweatshirts. So comfortable. Everything's pretty simple. It's nosleeproastery.com, and then my Instagram handle is nosleeproastery, and Facebook is nosleeproastery. Everything's all the same name, so it's easy to find. Yeah, I'm most active on Instagram. So if anybody ever wants to hit the DMs on Instagram, I literally reply to everybody and love talking to people. That's how I got linked up with these guys. Just Instagram DMs.
There you go. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for not sleeping with us,
and thank you for your service.
Yeah.
I will be sleepless for you guys.
All right, dude, well, thanks so much again. Appreciate having you on the show. As always, no coffee is harming in the making of this episode, because this is
No Creamer.